Howdy folks, welcome back to War Thunder with a mighty Jingles. Today I'm looking at another legend of World War II aviation history, the North American P-51-D Mustang. Now, I was a little worried when it came to looking at this thing, because I've heard nothing but complaints about it. But I take those complaints with a bit of a pinch of salt, because it's entirely possible. I mean, this is one of the aircraft that people are playing this game to fly. Some people play the game because they want to fly Spitfires. Some people play the game because they want to fly BF-109s or Focke-Wulf 190s. Some people play the game because they want to fly a B-17. But a lot of people are going to be playing this game because they want to fly the Mustang. And, you know, why not? It's a hell of an aircraft. And it's kind of like people who play World of Tanks in order to drive a Tiger. You're going to have unrealistic expectations. You finally get your hands on a Tiger in World of Tanks, and you go into battle expecting to be slaughtering hordes of Shermans and T-34s, and that just doesn't happen. Because that wouldn't be fair. That would not be a fair fight, and people don't want fair fights. And instead, you get your Tiger in World of Tanks, and you go into battle, and you're matched up against other Tier 7 heavy tanks. And you get a fair fight, and if you're no good, you get your ass kicked, and that upsets people. Because they have unrealistic expectations of how the Tiger's going to be balanced against other tanks in World of Tanks of the same tier. And I was kind of worried that might be the case with the Mustang too, because it was such a legendary aircraft, that people would have unrealistic expectations of how it was going to perform in the game, and perhaps that is what's fueling the negative comments that I hear about this aircraft. Now, I certainly don't know how it's supposed to perform. I'm not a propeller head. I just want to know what Joe Gamer wants to know, what you guys want to know. Is it fun to fly? Can you get kills in it? If it happens that the thing is accurately modelled, then hey, that's a bonus. But I couldn't tell you what the roll rate of this thing was supposed to be, how easy you could flick it over, stats like that. I haven't got a clue, no idea. My knowledge of aviation history is more general rather than technical. All I can tell you is this thing any fun? And I'll tell you one thing, it had better be fun, because you're going to be stuck with this thing for a long old time. Because if you look at the American fighter aircraft, that's it. The Americans have got lots of good fighters. The P-40 is fun. It's a bit difficult at first, but once you get the unlocks for it, it's a good old aircraft. It got rebalanced a little over the mini patches since patch 1.29. It doesn't feel as responsive in a dogfight as I remember it being, but it's still a good aircraft. The P-39 Airacobras are all good stuff. The P-47-D I have problems with. I don't know if it performs the way it's supposed to, but the thing, it's like flying a bathtub. I think you get a better deal out of the P-47 in historical battles than you do in arcade, because it's basically just a big flying engine with lots of guns and bombs strapped to it. And I definitely feel that flying that thing in historical, you get more. It's just more powerful. It performs the way that it should, compared to other aircraft that don't have the whole softening of the flight model thing that goes on in arcade battles. And you can use its advantages more in historical. The P-63s, again, good stuff. Decent aircraft. The P-38 is just a waste of time. Waste of time trying to fly it at the moment. It's got a placeholder flight model. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Then you get to the P-51 at rank 13. And if that's no good, you are pretty much buggered when it comes to flying American fighters, because that's it. The next American fighter you get is the Sabre at rank 20. Now, obviously, these tech trees aren't finalised. You've got your naval fighters here, but they stop at rank 12, one rank before the Mustang. So, up to rank 13, you've got a pretty good selection of American fighter aircraft. The Buffalo ain't bad. Then you get the Kitty Hawk, the Airacobras, you start picking up the F4s, the F6s, the King Cobras, and so on and so on. And then you hit rank 13, and that's your lot. You're going to spend a long time flying the Mustang before you get your hands on the Sabre. So the Mustang had better be enjoyable to fly, or it's going to kill people's interest in flying the US Army Air Force and the US Navy fighters. So what's it like? Well, let's take a look. So here we are. Obviously this is an arcade battle. What you're going to see is at first me doing it right and then doing it wrong, and you'll see what happens when you do it wrong. I'm a dogfighter at heart. You'll tend to find that the hardcore propeller heads, the guys out there who've been playing flight sims all their lives, are much, much better with American and German aircraft. The energy fighters, the boom and zoomers, because they know how to play that kind of fighter. Guys like me, who just play games, tend to do better in dogfighters, Japanese, British aircraft. But I'm getting there. I'm determined to learn, and I am improving. Not fast enough, but I am improving. So here we go, picking up the speed in the dive, and I'm going for that P-38. Now this couldn't be better. The P-38, I catch him right when he's topped out on his climb, and he's low on speed. He's a sitting duck. And watch what happens. I put a 3-second burst into him with these 650 cals, and it doesn't kill him. Well, that's not strictly true. It does kill him eventually, and that's what happens when you're firing these 50 caliber machine guns. Enough damage to them that they become uncontrollable, and they will eventually hit the ground, and you'll get the kill, providing nobody else is shooting at them. Because to boom and zoom effectively, you do the boom, but then you have to zoom. And while you're zooming away, getting back to a safe altitude, building up energy again to dive on somebody else, anybody else shooting that guy will get the kill, because they hit them last, regardless of the fact that you're the one who actually killed him. And now I'm doing it wrong. I'm getting into a turning fight with an MC-200. And he's put one shot into me and wrecked my engine. So the first mistake that I made was getting into a dogfight, which is not this thing's natural environment. Definitely not down at this kind of low altitude. But what surprised me more than anything else was just how fragile the P-51 seems to be. But, that could have just been a fluke. Anybody can get lucky. So another arcade battle. I think it's Lonely Island. One thing I must say about the P-51 is it does handle very, very well. Even though I'm not naturally a boom and zoom fighter pilot, because I'm a noob, dogfight. You see noobs trying to dogfight in every aircraft they fly, and that's why I prefer the Japanese and the British, because they are natural dogfighting aircraft. The Americans and the Germans, not so much. But I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to do it properly, even though I don't do it properly all the time. But even for an aircraft that is not the kind of thing I normally like to fly, this thing flies very, very well. It climbs like a dream. Look at that. Steep climb, still managing to keep the speed over 300 kph. You have to apply wartime emergency power, but in an arcade battle you can do that without overheating your engine, so do it. And we've got a good amount of altitude here. We're well above everybody else, so it's time to start thinking about what we're going to go for. And I've deliberately headed over here to the left to try to put myself in a line of intercept against any bombers that are going for our ships. But if there's anybody up there, I can't see them. So let's have a look and see what we can do about these fighters. There's another Mustang down there. There's an LA-7. There's more than that, but these are just the ones we can see. Now this is a problem. Well, it's not really a problem. First of all, this LA7 knew what he was doing. He's got 2 on his tail, he sees me diving down on him, so he does exactly the right thing and he turns inside me, which means that I'm going too fast to be able to accurately point the guns at him, and the most I'm going to get is 1 burst. If that had been a historical battle, I would have taken my wings right off there, trying to turn at 700 kph. As it was, I just blacked out. It didn't do the LA7 pilot any good because he had too many planes on his tail. But all I got out of that was a fraction of a second of accurate fire at him. So it's an assist, but there was no way I was ever going to get anything more than an assist in those circumstances. This is something you need to watch out for when you're doing boom and zoom. It's not the Mustang, it's just boom and zoom tactics. If a guy knows you're diving on them, they'll turn inside you and force you to overshoot or limit the amount of time that you have shooting at them before succumbing to G-force. So well played the LA7 pilot. It's just a shame he had two guys on his tail. But he knew exactly what to do to get out of the way of me. Now, Ju-87. And once again, there's no way this Ju-87 is getting away. I'm in a bloody Mustang, for God's sake. And I'm on his ass and I'm diving on him. But you're going to see the same thing happen over and over again when you're in this position in a Mustang. If I'd been the only one shooting at him, that would have been a kill. But I wasn't, and the 50 calibers just lack the punch to put down quickly and efficiently whatever you're shooting at. So if there's anybody else shooting at your target, after you've done your boom and you go into your zoom like this, they get the kill. And that happens over and over and over and over and over when you're flying the P-51 Mustang. You get so many assists and so few kills, and assists aren't worth shit, and it makes it hard work to run this thing at anything approaching a profit, because you just can't kill anything. Or perhaps you can, but you need to be a better shot than I am. So I'm looking for my next, or my first victim. Now who are we going to go for? And again, it's all, more so than in a dogfighter, it's all about picking the target. That fella over on the left has more than enough going after him. I'm going to go after this Yak 9T because it's a better approach angle, and he's in a Yak 9T, so he's a scumbag and needs to die. Sorry, Yak 9T drivers, but I hate you all. And this guy ain't stupid. He's got respawning friendlies coming in, and he's heading us towards them, and oh, that's bad. Now I've put myself in front of a Yak 9T. I should be, well, no, I'm screwed. These guys are all now in shooting range. There's now 2 Yak 9Ts behind me. There's more coming in. Even if I'd gone into the vertical there, that would have just made me an easy kill for the fellas respawning. And yeah, and the P-51 seems to be very, very fragile. Not quite as fragile as the Zeros, but it can't take hits. Now, this was a particularly brutal arcade battle. Early in the morning on a Saturday, there were only 9,000 people playing, and the matchmaker sometimes has a bit of a hissy fit when there are only 9,000 people playing, and it will just throw together a game with whatever it can get. So I was flying this thing against ME-262s, HE-163s, MiG-9s, which is tough. But, you know, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be flying the P-51 Mustang. So, let's see what we can do. I'm predicting lots of assists, and not much in the way of kills. Pretty crappy weather here on one of the Pacific maps, so taking advantage of the clouds. And again, like I did in the previous example, I'm sticking to the left-hand side of the map to try to intercept bombers. And we've got a bow fighter and an A-20 coming in. Yeah, I think I've got it hard. So there's a guy in the enemy team there in an A-20. Yeah, he's probably thinking, what the hell did I do to deserve to get into this game? Now if this Beaufighter is smart, he'll turn into me as I dive on him, reduce the amount of time I have, and he is smart, and that gives me a maximum of a half a second to shoot at him. And because I'm so fast, I can't get the nose round in time, so he gets away with that. Well done to him. But I'm certainly not going to try to dogfight with him, because he's got friends. There's that A20. No, we're going to go after this F6 instead. Well, there's the Beaufighter. He's gotten away. Looks like he shot down the guy who went after him. Now, I hate this. This guy in the F6F, he's got two of us on his ass. All he's interested in doing is dropping his bombs. Which, you know, is fine. But you see people doing this over and over again. It's intensely annoying. He knows he's going to die. Get one hit into him. Loop over. Come down on him. He's not even trying to shake us. He's just getting rid of his bombs, and then he's gonna suicide. And he goes up into a slight climb, and then he nosedives right down into that cargo ship. What a scumbag. And it's pure spite. It's just, I mean, we ended up getting, the P-63 pilot ended up getting the kill, and I got the assist anyway, because we hit him so soon before he nosedived into that cargo ship. But he was basically just saying, right, I'm going to suicide, just to try to deny us the kill. What a scumbag. So anyway, he's dead. Screw him. He failed. Can't really complain about only getting the assist there, though. The P-63 was on him far longer than I was, and I really only put a half a second's worth of shots into him, so I didn't expect a kill out of that one. What have we got coming in? There's that bloody Beaufighter. Okay. Now this is a much better approach. Can't kill him though. HE-162. Now I'm fast, but I'm not as fast as an HE-162. However, damaging this guy is going to be valuable. And I did hit him. Really wish I'd been shooting cannons at him. I might have actually done some damage. Well, it looks like the Beaufighter's down, so there's another assist. One of many. HE-162. Ooh, had a bit of a lag spike there. That was nasty. I'm attempting to tie up this HE-162, but he's got better. He's faster. He's got better climb rate because he's a jet. But I've hit him again, so he's probably cursing. And I just can't roll this thing around fast enough to get back on him. And he's a jet. I'm not complaining, it is what it is. However, I've got some good speed up again, and I'm back in the dive, and there's a whole pack of bad guys here, so who am I going to go for? Right, let's regain some altitude, figure this one out. Who's my best victim? BF-19 down there, probably a G6 in this kind of game. And this is good, this is good. I judged that one well. I'm on his tail. I should be able to put some good shots into this fella. If I can just start hitting him. Come on, Jingles, learn how to aim. LA5's going high. Missed it. Now I'm in front of an LA5. Not good. Can only hope he's going to go for the other friendly. I've gotten away with that. Loop back around. There's the G6. Drop in on his tail. Avoid the LA5. Go to work on the G6. Still got good speed. Pumping the shots into this guy. But it's just not enough. And he is flying well. I mean, credit where credit's due. But this situation's looking bad now. Suddenly there's no friendlies around, and there's lots and lots of bad guys. So whack that throttle open. Unfortunately, There's now an LA5 and a BF-109 G6 on my ass. And while I could pump round after round after round into that G6 without putting him down, guess how many shots it takes from a G6 to kill me? Oh well. Right then, historical battle time. And I do genuinely feel that you definitely get more bang for your buck out of the P-51 in a historical battle than you do in an arcade game, because there's just more space to operate. The historical battle maps are absolutely huge, and the fur balls aren't as concentrated. You don't normally get more than 2 or 3 or 4 at the most aircraft engaged with each other in any one section of the map. There'll be a dogfight going on 4 kilometres away to your left, and you and whoever you're attacking tend to be left alone. It's not like an arcade battle where everybody's fighting in the same 4 square kilometres. So it's a lot more dangerous in an arcade battle. In historical, that you've got more space to work on your target, as long as they're not flying with backup. And it does look pretty. Regardless of what reservations you've got about War Thunder, you have to admit this is a spectacularly good looking game. And the aircraft are physically modelled so well. I mean, just look at that. Beautiful aircraft, beautiful map. Hats off to Gaijin for this. However, it is, of course, an historical battle, and it's going to take forever to actually get within range of something that we can kill. So, oh, this is something. And there's the difference in historical. I nearly, well, I wouldn't say I nearly lost control of the aircraft, but it nearly flipped when you roll it. See, the centre of gravity on this thing, because of that fuel tank that it has mounted behind and below the cockpit, that's where it carries roughly 1/3 of its fuel. So when you take off in this thing with a full fuel load, you'll notice that when you roll it, as the thing goes inverted, it's very, very top heavy and it wobbles. And you'll find that historically that this thing flew like a brick when it had that reserve fuel tank full. So the pilots would use the fuel from the reserve fuel tank first, just to get them to Germany, so that they regained their manoeuvrability once they switched to their main tank. So let's skip ahead to the action. What there is of it. Okay, Mr. Wellington, you're looking like a juicy target. And you need to be careful when you're flying this thing in historical battle. Much more realistic flight modelling. This thing can do 711 kilometers per hour. You can also rip your own wings off if you go over that speed. And yes, I have done it. No, I'm not proud of it. Now, it is only a Wellington, and they're not exactly difficult to shoot down. But don't forget, you have to actually know where you're shooting, because you don't get the target lead indicator in historical. Oh, whoa, that was close. Oh, I almost left that too late to get out of the way. Of course, his gunners are giving me a good working over, but I haven't actually taken any real damage. It's all cosmetic. He's going down. I'm bringing it around, but that's it. Kill secured. And you can get kills in historical battles with the P-51, because most of the time there's nobody else shooting at your target. And you can cripple aircraft like you saw me do with the P-38 because nobody else was shooting at him, and like I just did with the Wellington because nobody else was shooting at him. And afford to take the time that it takes for them to crash after you've wrecked their control surfaces. And that's what these guns do. The 50 calibers do kill enemy aircraft. They just don't kill them quickly. Put enough shots into somebody with a 50 cal, they'll go down. You tend to not blow them apart in mid-air, however. For that sort of thing, you either need to get really lucky or you need to be firing cannons. Now, where the hell is everybody? There's a Focke-Wulf 190 over there. So I'm having a looking around while I'm gaining some altitude. Checking chat. I don't know if this is just me, whether this... I don't see chat while I'm playing. It just fades away to nothing. Until I press enter to open up the chat input box, I can't actually see anything else. So people could be yelling for help and using the keyboard shortcuts, and I don't see any of it until I actually press enter to bring my own text box up, and then I see the chat again. So if you guys do see me in a game, and you're saying, "Oh, hello, Jingles," don't be offended if I don't reply, because most of the time it's because I'm not aware of it. My game looks like this most of the time. I just don't see those chat messages. I don't know if it's just a bug that I have, or if everybody's game is like that, but that's the way it is for me. So, BF-109. Have a look around. One eye on the radar. Okay. Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit more like it. Right. It looks like these guys are sticking together. And I don't like the look of that. That's too many dangerous enemy fighters too close together. However, this is historical battle. My advantages, my speed, are a lot more pronounced in historical battle because everything is modelled that much more accurately. The flight modelling is a lot more generous than realistic in arcade. So I can bounce one of these guys and get away successfully if I'm clever about it. And that is not being particularly clever about it. So I failed, but I need to get out of here. Checking the radar, it doesn't look like they're coming after me. Have a quick look. No, I'm not turning around and going back in. Two of them are higher than me. I need to use the speed of this thing to open up the distance. It does look like those three are working together. Possibly they're in a squadron. But I don't want to test that theory because they are chasing me. So if I was flying on, if this was arcade, these guys could have caught me, or they could have stayed up with me long enough to put me down with their cannon fire. Everybody gets wartime emergency power, for example, in arcade battles. Not in historical. There are aircraft that did not have wartime emergency power, and you fly those aircraft in historical battle, you don't get it. So I do have more of the P-51's advantages available to me in a historical battle, which allows you to do better. And I'm convinced at this point that these fellas are working together, so I've got all three of them chasing after me. So let's just, use whatever advantages I have. Fly back over our airbase, and let's have our flak guns working to help me. Gain some altitude. And there's a guy repairing on the runway down there, and he's a big fat juicy target. I'm going to try to use my repairing teammate to sucker these guys in, and then use our runways anti-aircraft guns to help me get a kill. And they're chasing this guy in now. These fellas are definitely working together. So, oh, this is not good. There's two of them on my winger, and then another two of them coming in from behind. I'm going to dive on the Focke-Wulf 190 and keep going. You've got to help your wingman. No, he's seen me. He's turning inside me. Crap. Well, use that speed. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, shit. Didn't see him. And once again, the legendary toughness. And yes, I'm being sarcastic about that. Of the P-51 Mustang proves my undoing. Those German cannons, which are not considered overpowered. You know, nobody complains about the 30mm German cannons the way they do about the 37mm cannon on the Yak-9T, but one hit from a cannon is all it takes to ruin your day when you're flying a Mustang. Right, the Mustang. Yeah, I've tried. I really, really have tried to like this thing. I mean, who wouldn't want to like this thing? Look at it, it's beautiful. And I can't really complain about the flight modelling of the thing. From what little I know of how the thing is supposed to handle, it seems as if they've modelled it reasonably accurately. I understand from the forums that people are saying the engine doesn't perform the way it should, but it almost does. And Gaijin have said in the latest Q&A that they are revising the flight model of the Mustang in the next patch. So as of today, the 4th of May, May the 4th be with you, crappy Star Wars joke, the next patch after today, this thing is going to get a revisited flight model. But that's only really of interest to the real hardcore propeller heads who fly this thing in full real battles. We're talking relatively minor tweaks, as far as I'm aware. But it's not the flight modelling of the thing that's the problem. Even if they had modelled this thing 100% accurately, let's say they had. They haven't. They're close, but they're not there yet. Let's say they had modelled it 100% accurately. This thing performs at its best 12,000 feet up. That's what it was designed to do. It was escorting high-altitude bombers on long-range bombing missions deep into Germany. Well, and I haven't spent the length of time it would take to get this thing up to 12,000 feet, but I am reliably informed that it does fly like a dream, you know, at those kind of altitudes. But there's nothing to kill up there. Nobody flies at that altitude, not even in historical battles. Most fights in arcade battles take place below 1,000 feet, and most fights in historical battles take place at or below 3,000 feet. And this thing really just doesn't shine at those altitudes. It is still a very good boom and zoom fighter, you know, a typically American fighter, or, you know, all piss and vinegar. It holds its speed very, very well. It holds its speed when it's climbing very, very well. It climbs well. You can still put this thing into a 25-30 degree climb angle and still accelerate, even without applying wartime emergency power. You'll accelerate slowly, but you won't be losing speed when you're climbing. The majority of aircraft do. The flight characteristics of the thing are good. They really, really are. But the problem isn't with the handling of the thing. It's with the guns, those 650 caliber machine guns. The US Air Force's obsession with marred use, the M250 cal, it just ruins this aircraft. because you can't kill anything. I've tried, and I'm the first to admit that I'm not the best pilot in War Thunder. I'm probably better than average, but there's plenty of people out there who are way better than me, and you see them kicking my arse in video after video after video. But I'm not bad. And these guns, they're just not good enough. Here's the thing, you don't want to be dogfighting anybody in this aircraft. It's not what it's for. You get this thing down on the deck, and you can win a turning fight against a BF-109 G6 or a Focke-Wulf D13. But they shouldn't be getting into turning fights down on the deck anyway. You're basically killing stupid idiots. In almost all situations, you want to be keeping this thing fast. And when I say fast, I mean over 300 kilometers per hour. And it's relatively easy to do that in this thing. It does, as I said, it holds its speed very, very well. The only time you want to be getting this thing below 300 kph is when you absolutely definitely have to slow down to secure a kill. In all of the circumstances, you ideally want to be keeping this thing definitely above 300. Under ideal circumstances, above anything between 450 to 600 kph. And you're going to be doing that by maintaining altitude and diving. And it is very, very good at that, even though ideally it wants to be 12,000 feet up, but there's nobody up there to kill, so yeah, great. Enjoy admiring the clouds. There's nothing else to do up there. You can use it potentially very effectively by diving down on targets, boom and zooming basically, circling, picking your target, diving on him, pounding away at him with your 50 cals, back into the climb, get out of there, repeat the process, and so on and so on. But the problem is, the 50 cals don't kill aircraft. Well, again, even that's not strictly true. They don't kill aircraft fast enough. That's the problem. Let's have a look at the... obviously this is a press account, so I haven't unlocked enough XP on this aircraft to actually get the new shell rack, so I'm using the default, which is tracer, just a solid bullet, the ball ammo, and one incendiary bullet, and one armor-piercing incendiary bullet. So I'm not going to expect miracles from the default shell rack, but have a look at all the others. Omnipurpose is just armor-piercing, incendiary, tracer, and incendiary. It loses the ball ammunition. Ground targets, tracer, armor-piercing, incendiary, and incendiary. Tracer is just tracer and API, and the stealth attack is AP, API, and incendiary. There's no explosive ammunition there. Let's have a look at something that does get explosive ammunition. BF-109 K6. There you go, 30mm cannon. See, this is the difference. That cannon, high explosive incendiary night tracer. Stealth attack, high explosive incendiary. This is why people with cannons get kills, and why the guys flying the Americans don't. You are going to get so many assists flying this aircraft, it's going to be ridiculous, but assists aren't worth shit. Here's what happens when you dive on a fighter, or anything, when you're flying this thing. You're going to, under the ideal circumstances, you get a good 2-second burst into them with a 50 cals, and you'll shred their control surfaces. You get a good burst into somebody's wings. With these 50 cals, you will cripple them. And they are going to go down. But somebody else is going to shoot them after you've hit him. You won't kill him, not outright. You'll then climb away, somebody else will put a shot into him, he'll go down, they get the kill, you get the assist. If you had 20mm cannons, 30mm cannons, or even 37mm cannons, those shots into the wing would rip the wing right off, and you'd get the kill there and then. Because you only have the 650 caliber machine guns, you just don't kill anything. Even a 2-second burst into somebody is probably not going to kill them outright. And while you're zooming away and angling to come back and finish the job off, somebody else finishes up for you. So you never get any kills flying this thing. I've been flying this thing a lot. And I've managed 2 kills. countless assists, but only 2 kills. One of those was against Wellington in a historical battle, but it's not difficult shooting a Wellington down with anything. And the other one was an arcade game, and I killed a P-38, but the P-38's got a broken garbage flight model anyway, so that wasn't exactly much of a challenge. But the P-38 actually died long after I'd pulled off and was circling around to come after him again. And it took the length of time that it took me to do that for him to actually hit the ground. And if there had been a single other friendly fighter anywhere nearby, that would also have been an assist, because they would have put some shots into him and they would have gotten the kill. And that's the problem flying the P-51. It's a great aircraft. The limitations of the way War Thunder is played do not allow you to play this thing in its best environment at high altitude, because there's nobody else up there. But it's still a great boom and zoom aircraft as far as the flight characteristics and the handling are concerned, but it just doesn't have the firepower. Basically, what you're doing flying this thing is flying a faster one of these P-40 Kitty Hawk. It's essentially the same aircraft, except this is a lot faster. That is basically what you're doing. And I like the Kitty Hawk, but I'm a bit tired of flying it by the time I get to rank 13. I just do not believe this is a rank 13 aircraft. If they've got the flight model for this thing nailed, and they haven't, because they're coming back to it in the next patch and making further tweaks to the flight model of it. But even if they did have this thing 100% accurately modelled, it's not a rank 13 aircraft. This thing could stand to drop down to rank 10, maybe even rank 9. As it is, the P-63As just have so much better firepower because they've got cannons. I mean, they've recently put the 1 second burst mass back into the game in the tooltip. You can see there 3.23 kilograms per second. That's a pretty good 1 second burst mass worth of damage. In case anybody doesn't know what that means, it's the amount of weight of ammunition you can pump into the target with 1 second worth of shooting. 3.23 is not bad. If you look at the P-39, which is 4 ranks lower, 3.81. Now, the P-39 King Cobra, not the P-39, sorry, the P-63 King Cobra only has 4 50 caliber machine guns, but it's also got 1 37mm cannon. And so these raw numbers, even though it says, yeah, 3.81 kilogram per second, better than the Mustang's 3.23. 3.23 still looks quite good until you realise this thing's firing high explosive incendiary fragmentation ammo at you with that 37mm cannon, and only has to hit you once to wreck your airframe. And that's the problem with the Mustang. It does not have the firepower to do adequately in the way you have to fly it in historical and arcade. And it's a massive disappointment, because, I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. And everybody who plays the American aircraft in this game pretty much play this aircraft for these aircraft, for one of 3 reasons. They want to fly a B-17, or they want to fly a Liberator. Where is it? There you go, B-24. They want to fly one of those. They want to fly one of those. And they want to fly one of those. There are exceptions, obviously, but, you know, in the main, these 3 aircraft are why people mostly pick the Americans. And the B-17s are great. They really are. They're so much fun to fly. They're really good bombers. The Liberator, I haven't had that much experience of flying the Liberator yet, but, you know, it feels all right. The P-51 is going to be a disappointment. And unfortunately, it's going to be a disappointment that you're going to be stuck with for a long time, because it is the only American aircraft, an American fighter aircraft, until you get 7 ranks later to the F-86. So you're going to be flying that thing a lot and cursing the inadequacy of those 50 caliber machine guns. As always, folks, watch your 6, and I'll catch you next time.